Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright people, this is going to be a quick short little video on the George Kambosos situation. I, like several others, am curious to see who he's going to face next. We've heard different names. We've heard Devin Haney, Vasyl Lomachenko. De La Hoya has been throwing the name Ryan Garcia in there. I mean, isn't Garcia fighting in April? And Kambosos wants to fight in June, so unless Garcia, finds an injury somewhere, that's not going to happen. But for a while, the front two have been Lomachenko, Devin Haney. At one point, just after Christmas, it seemed as though it was a done deal that it would be Lomachenko versus George Kambosos. Having before that, it was Devin Haney. It's been kind of all over the place, going back and forth between the two. But right now, George Kambosos has confirmed reports that his team have now made an offer to Devin Haney for an undisputed title fight at lightweight on June the 5th in Australia. Vasyl Lomachenko has decided to stay in his home country and sort out issues there. Obviously, I was talking about it yesterday in Review of the Week that Bob Arum basically said that Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk, for that matter, both been given the green light to travel to wherever they need to for training purposes for both respective fights. Obviously, Usyk and Joshua, we know that fight is pretty much good to go in terms of he's legally obliged to fight Anthony Joshua. Whereas Alexander Usyk, this fight was never signed and sealed. If reports are to be believed, it was a pretty much a done deal that Lomachenko would be next, based upon contracts and stuff like that. But it was never finalized, never signed, and obviously we know what happened with the situation. So, it looks to me now at this stage that it is going to be Devin Haney versus Kambosos, June the 5th in Australia. It's a good... How do I put it? I would have... The selfish kind of fan of me who wants to be entertained and wants to see the most entertaining fight stylistically, I think that George Kambosos versus Vasyl Lomachenko stylistically is a fantastic fight. However, I think Vasyl Lomachenko wins that fight. And I think Kambosos is a very, very good fighter, and I do think he would give Vasyl Lomachenko issues. He certainly would. But Vasyl Lomachenko, I think, just the way Kambosos is as well in the ring, I think Lomachenko would thrive against that. And I think that he's enjoying being the hunter and not the hunted. I think he's really thriving on that. We're seeing the best in Lomachenko now, even at this stage of his career, where some people thought after the Teofimo Lopez loss, well, that's the kind of... We'll see Lomachenko on the slide now. It's been the polar opposite. He's looked rejuvenated. Now, this fight against Haney, whilst I would make Haney slight favourite, I do see this fight as a lot more competitive. Now, we're hearing undisputed. It really is a joke at lightweight with the situation down there. I mean, this is why I hope to God they just get rid of this franchise title. They don't talk about it as much as they used to now. I really do hope they get rid of it, because as it stands now, Kambosos has all the belts except the WBC title, which Devin Haney apparently has, but Kambosos is the franchise champion, which is kind of like the champion above the champion. It's really silly. It's really stupid. I don't understand the whole concept of it. I don't understand why the WBC title was a good idea, though, saying that there's a lot of things that they've done that I don't understand why it's a good idea, but they still did it. This would sort that issue out with regards. It would end off, we know there is one consensus champion. He has all the titles, and you can throw that franchise title in the trash for what it's worth, and that's that. So, and as I've said, I always want to go for undisputed anyway. I like to prioritise that, see it in as many divisions as we can, because it's not easy. It's not easy, especially in a 4-belt era. It's not easy with mandatories and stuff like that, so it can be tricky. So, I like this fight. Obviously, stylistically, I would have preferred the Lomachenko fight, but it seems almost a case of just waiting on an announcement now at this stage. How would Devin Haney travel, I think, is the main thing. Now, he is a naturally kind of confident character. I would imagine it wouldn't affect him too badly. I wouldn't imagine anyway, certainly not. But it'd be certainly interesting to see, if he does go to Australia, how he travels, how soon he travels, because there would be quite a time difference. He's on the west coast of America, as far as I believe, so there would be a time difference in terms of... I'm not sure exactly how much it is, if it's a massive time difference if you'd really need to acclimatise or how much, but I would imagine that he'd need to get over there. How would he deal with jet lag? Because jet lag is a real thing with fighters. You know, you do see fighters get caught out. It actually does quite surprise me in some aspects how many fighters you do see come over quite late for a fight. Like I remember Triple G when he fought Kell Brook. I don't think he arrived in the UK. Well, he didn't arrive until fight week. And I don't think it was early fight week. I think it was like Tuesday, Wednesday or something like that. Maybe it was earlier, but it was definitely late enough. And I always kind of scratch my head when that's the case, because I've never experienced jet lag, me personally, but I know people who have. And they've told me that it's not a quick thing. It's not a case of you get the jet lag, you're okay, you're a bit, run down for a day or two and you're fine. It can be prolonged in some instances. It wouldn't last any longer than, we'll say, 5-6 days, in most part anyways, from what I've heard anyway, because again I've never experienced it, I don't know what it's like, but I've heard some people say it's not nice. You're not sleeping properly, you're just sluggish, you're drained, and you're getting into the ring like that. It's not going to help. So I wonder what way Team Haney would approach this. Would they set up camp in Australia? Would they come over a little bit, an extra bit of time in advance? Who knows. I remember Lennox Lewis, that was slightly different. I mean, it was more altitude as well over when they were in South Africa against Hasim Rahman. Rahman had been there for weeks preparing, Lewis hadn't, and the altitude really got to him. As well as that, he was filming, what was it, Ocean's 11 or one of those movies, I think it was. I know it was an Ocean's movie, but I think it was Ocean's 11. It's not really relevant now, but it can affect fighters in different ways, going to a venue in a different country that you're not used to travelling as well. And Haney, I think he's had a fight in Mexico, but other than that, I don't think he's ever been outside the States. So it'll be interesting to see. I would make Haney slight favourite. I think he's just a superior boxer. But Kambosos, I mean, like, I've picked against him before. I didn't think he was as good as he's turned out to be. He really is a fantastic fighter. Really is. And having that, being home for your first title defence with all that, you would imagine it would lift them. Now, obviously, with Josh Taylor, we saw a few weeks ago, it was the kind of, well, I think there was a lot of factors there, but you could say that the fans didn't really lift him in that aspect. But I would imagine that in Australia for Kambosos, and no disrespect to Jack Catterall, maybe Josh Taylor wasn't as up for Catterall as he would have been for Ramirez. I don't think you're going to get any more up for a fight than you would be against the consensus champion, another consensus champion at that weight in Devin Haney. So, great fight. I hope we get to see it. I look forward to it. And I look forward to seeing Undisputed. Obviously, I would love to see Kambosos versus Lomachenko at some stage this year. I'd love to see Haney versus Lomachenko at some stage this year. So I'd like to see the winner. More than likely would fight Lomachenko towards the back end of this year, I would imagine. So we'll wait and see how that goes. For now, lads and lassies, I will leave you with that. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, lads and lassies, help your boy out. Smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. For now, I'll talk to you. Peace.